Hello, welcome to the halfway point. In this screencast, I'm going to review quickly for you Module 4. And once again, I'm going to use our titanium site. I'm going to scroll down to Module 4 and then zoom in on it in order just to review the activities you'll be doing for the next 3 weeks. Module 4 covers weeks 8 through 10 and focuses on what could arguably be considered the most important core proposition, that teachers are committed to students and their learning. We're going to do a very quick exploration into motivation. Student motivation research fills volumes. So in this case, we're going to take a quick look at a couple of pieces about motivation and do a little synthesis of what that might mean. And then we're going to look at one article that discusses the criticality of student-teacher relationships. We're going to take a look at cultural dichotomies and how when a home culture or linguistic culture isn't in sync with a classroom culture, how it can impact student learning. And we'll take a look at culturally relevant pedagogy. And we'll wrap up by discussing the importance of student voice and listening to students. The core or signature assignment for this module is a student case study. And I want you, before you even look at any other activity, to scroll down and read this particular assignment. It is my hope that we'll use this assignment also to extend this assignment for the next module, where we look at differentiating instruction. This is something you really can't wait till the last week of this module to do, so you should be setting this up now. What you're asked to do is interview a middle school or high school student who differs from you in at least 2 of the following areas: ethnically, culturally, linguistically, or academically. You should arrange to interview this student and to observe this student in his or her classroom for at least 2 hours. When you observe the student, you should seek to get a lesson plan from the teacher of the lesson that was being taught. If you aren't currently teaching, consider working with a classmate to gain access to his or her classroom. And be sure to complete all the reading assignments before you actually do your interview and your observations, because it is through the lens of the reading assignments that we will be doing this assignment. You'll be asked to look for evidence of things that are talked about in the readings in your observations. The reason why we want you to get a lesson plan is so that next module we might take a look at how we differentiate, examples of differentiation, or where we might have differentiated instruction for this student based on what you've learned about that student. You want to start getting this set up so that after you've completed the readings, you'll be set to go. First of all, let me tell you that all the readings are in this folder. Most of them are fairly short, but there are a couple of 20-pagers in here. But most of them are 3 to 5 pages in length. Your first thing after watching this screencast is to do a little exercise. I've put up a link to a voice thread, and you can click on the voice thread itself or click on the link and it will take you there. This video, there's about a minute of my asking a question, and then the video itself is, I think, 1 minute, 1.5 minutes long. This should be very quick. What you do is you go in, you click, listen to me, watch the video, and then you'll have an option to record or make a comment. You click the button, you talk into a mic, you stop it, you can listen to it, you can redo it, whatever, but basically that's your post. I want just your reaction to this 1-minute video and your guess about why I'm choosing to start talking about motivation by showing you this video. This is sort of fun. Don't stress about it. This was just meant to be a fun little opener. And to introduce you, in case you haven't been introduced, but I think you have by now in your other class, to VoiceThread. Then we start our motivation for real by looking at a video that's done by Pink based on his book Drive. And this is an RSA video, which means that it's animated with his voiceover. I've prepared an incredibly abbreviated research summary on what's called self-determination theory. There's a significant body of work applying this theory in an educational environment. It's fairly established. After that, I want you to start a discussion thread synthesizing these two resources. So watch the video, take a look at the literature review, and tell me what they have in common, how they're different. More importantly, what implications does it have for the educational system in general, and particularly for your practice, or how it might influence your practice. Then go back and read one more article that I have put a link to here. It's also in the readings, called Rigor, Relevance, and Relationships. And respond to two of your classmates' posts, but tie this article in to your response and their response. After that, I'm going to have you take a look at one article and one video. It's about a 10-minute video. And this is about the hurdles students, cultural issues that students may have to navigate to get an education. And so I want you to read about ability profiling and school failures and take a look at the film Immersion. At this point, I'm asking you just to observe examples or similarities between the two and observe the interactions and what you see play out. There's no responses required for the read, watch, and comment, because you're going to come down next and read two more articles that are a little more in depth about culturally relevant pedagogy, and then using those readings, begin to interpret some of the observations you made in the other forum, and then make a post. I would like you to try and cite these two texts in your response, seeing if you can tie what was observed in the last forum to the readings in this forum. I also would like to have you respond to two of your classmates. Finally, we go into probably one of my favorite topics. My research is all centered on student voice, so I had a terribly hard time picking two recent and relevant pieces for us to read. One's very recent, earlier this year, and I think you might enjoy it. It's called A View from the Lighthouse. And the second one is Students as Expert Witnesses of Teaching and Learning by Busher. Then I want you to just summarize for me your takeaways from these readings. Why is student voice important? And because we're dealing with student voice, I want this to be a voice response. You have lots of ways you can do it. I've set it up as a forum, but the forum is really just to give us a link or as a place to put an audio recording. You can just submit an audio recording. You can do a voice thread and give us a link. You can do a document, a PowerPoint, or a PDF and just put your voice in it. But I want you to be speaking with your voice about student voice. And the forum is just a place that we can then get to your audio. Listen to a couple of your colleagues' audios and respond to them. Because this is coming at the end of the module and you have a pretty significant assignment, try and keep your recordings down to 5 minutes or less. This forces you to synthesize your thoughts rather than ramble. I'm very much looking forward to listening to your thoughts on student voice. And then finally, you have the student case study that we took a look at the beginning of the screencast. And there is a rubric that's very similar to the last rubric, modified for this assignment, that you should take a look at to guide your work also. Even though the case study write-up is only 2 to 4 pages double-spaced, max of 4, minimum of 2, so you have to really think hard about getting your thoughts in succinctly. Do try and cover each of the prompts that are in the case study and that tie it back to the readings. With that, 3 weeks of work I hope you will find interesting and applicable to your work. I look forward to reading and listening to your responses. And of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me.